Hello, magic makers, and welcome to July. Here we are entering into the seventh month of the year. Can you believe it? Um, July will definitely give you tons of opportunities for expansion, acceleration. July is the seventh month of the year. The number seven brings us that glory, that expansion of heaven to earth, right? This month really helps to accelerate and to keep on pulse, I would say, with the acceleration of ascension that we're going through as the collective of humanity awakens. But what's most important from a numerological perspective of July is that it's a 5 universal month. So the number 5 brings change. You know what I love about the numbers is they show you what they do, and so the 5 moves in all directions. So we're moving across to heaven, we're moving to earth, we're spinning around, and it whips its tail up at the end. So you can expect a little whipping of energy is what I want to say as we move through what this month has in store. So be sure to stick around to the end so you can get the 4 frequencies that are most important for you to be able to embody, to have the greatest outcome for July and the energies that it is bringing forth through you. So this 5 universal month, many changes will take place. So this is always happening on the inner plane. You're also going to see it translate into the global plane. Lots of change happening, lots of acceleration of these changes. It's a very rapid, we're just moved through the solstice energy. We're moving into the high fire of July, of summer, the height of summer, and everything just becomes extra fiery, extra alive is what I want to say. So the 5 brings in this energy, and the 5 is the number of change. It's the number of justice. It's the number of knowledge. It really brings in the awakening in so many different frequencies to things that just expect the unexpected and expect it around every corner, because the one thing that you can count on is that change is before you. So a lot of adjustments take place, and it can have really good effect upon business, but not great effect upon the rest of some of your experiences. It gives you a lot of opportunities is what I want to say. So if your focus is on business, that's great until we get to the end of the month around the 17th, when we move into Leo energy, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And it's also about justice. The 5 loves to bring justice in. It brings change to justify and create justice. So this is why we're going to see a lot play out on the global scale, but then that also has effect upon your personal life. And then we move into this huge astrological shift, which is the lunar nodes that enter Aries and Libra on the 17th. And that just really optimizes this call for justice. It brings the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon to order. And it's a big pivot point for us. So July is going to be fiery and full of some opportunities for sure. So let's move into the astrology. You are greeted on July 3rd, just before Independence Day, or Interdependence Day, as I would prefer to call it, with the Capricorn full moon. And this full moon, all full moons, shine a ton of light, give you all this opportunity for transformation and for change, for really seeing through the shadows. But this full moon is going to have effect over the next really 2 months. Like what you put in action is going to have effect over the next 2 months. So what this full moon is calling for is really asking you to step up and to step in. So whatever your intentions for creation have been over the last few months, you are being asked to actually move into action around them. It's like the dreaming phase is kind of over in Capricorn. This full moon in Capricorn is actually as asking you to get into action, to get into movement, to get going. It's important. So it calls you up, it calls you in, it calls you out. Let's go. It's time to step up to the plate. And there's lots of opportunities for you to find more patience, to optimize your emotional EQ, because it's going to be, you're going to have to navigate a lot of developments through this full moon sequence. And July is just given a lot of opportunities for transformation. I'm not going to lie, from beginning to end. You will be met on July 17th with the Cancer new moon. Lots of things happen on the 17th of the month. The Cancer new moon. So we're in Cancer season now, remembering that Cancer brings about that deep well of emotion, and it gives you that pivot from being able to walk through the world, like from land to sea, right? From like the groundedness of the earth into the deep well of emotion that water represents. So this new moon is going to be extra special because Cancer is housed with the moon. So it's a double whammy, or a double, not even a whammy. It's an opportunity to expand times two with what comes up, and the expansion, it expands the energy greatly. It's a highly emotional time. It's really important that you stay in your inner landscape, that you stay with your emotions. Really, again, another opportunity to optimize your higher emotional intelligence, to be able to stay really clear, to go with the flow. It heightens emotions. The focus is very much on home and balance, and wherever any of this is out of balance, you're definitely going to feel it. So the opportunity, remember, you're highly empathic during this time, as Cancer sits in the new moon and in its sign, and you can become super sensitive. So the places where your life is out of balance, out of harmony, or your home life is out of balance, out of harmony, is going to really come to the table. So what's important is that you are self-sovereign, that you are listening to what it is, you're paying attention to what it is, but you are perhaps responding, your response, your ability to respond as opposed to reacting. You're going to get served so much better if you are sitting in that deep well of emotion and optimizing a higher EQ as you move forward in your communication. And maybe it's not the day to communicate. Maybe during that new moon energy, it's really the time to come inside, to weigh the scales of like what's feeling just and fair and what isn't. Remember, this is the energy of the month. And maybe making decisions to speak to that when you're out of that new moon sequence, because everyone's going to be feeling it. So it can be a heightened time. It's good to have these communications when things are kind of a little calmer, a little out of the window, if you will. So be mindful of the overflowing of emotion and over sensationalizing things. One of the keys that's coming through right now is that when you're saying to yourself or to somebody, you always, or you never, you're over sensationalizing, and that doesn't usually land well. So give it some space and come back in with a higher EQ and a deeper lens of communication at a higher level. On July 22nd, we move into Leo season. Leo season begins. Now, Leo is, the extra of the zodiac. It is the proud, the expansive, it brings in all of the loud, the proud, it's a fun time. Leo season brings in the fun. But it's also mirrored with a Venus retrograde, which is a really big astrological event of the year. So the Venus retrograde goes retrograde in Leo on the same day that the sun enters into Leo. So this retrograde lasts until September 3rd. So, Venus is the house of love, of relationships. It also has effect upon money. So it's this interesting contrast to this 5-month and that Leo energy of really wanting to go out in the world and be, it can bring Leo, it just brings on the right. But then we have this retrograde of Venus, so it's a bit of a contrasting energy. So be really mindful as you walk through it. It will bring up a lot of opportunity to ponder like your existing relationships. Give you opportunity to make adjustments in relationships. So you see it's coming from all different ways. You're coming out of that new moon, and then you're moving into this Venus retrograde. Some of the expressions of it is that as creative and out there as Leo is, you might feel a real pull into it. So again, you're riding through this contrasting energy. Your creativity might feel pulled in. You want to just go for it in Leo time, but you're going to feel this like contrast of pulling in. It's not a great time to start new relationships in terms of love. Your existing relationships might have to go through some justice, rebalance, reharmonization opportunities. as you move through it. And it's going to give you, oh, and not a great time to start new money adventures. Like, let it just rest. This is inward time, looking at what's important, like honing into what's important, and how do you want to be in all of your expressions. How do you want to show yourself to the world, which is what Leo energy brings. But then that, can you do it with compassion as it's as Venus is retrograding? Can you do it with love of self and compassion, and maybe just move a little slower than you want to? You're going to want to go fast because the energy is calling it, but you also have to move with discernment and slow the roll down a little bit. So lots of opportunities there as we move through Leo season and we move through Venus retrograde. So the 4 things you most need to optimize within you. Number 1 is balance. Really, truly balance in all things, especially as there's so much change coming to the table. And so much opportunity for self-reflection, you know, riding that Cancer energy of balance, of walking through the worlds, of being highly sensitive, and then moving into that Leo energy of the like real outwards. Like, how much balance can you create? Because there's so much significant change coming in, of, and around you. Balance is really, truly the key to all things. Like balancing your money, balancing your relationships, balancing your self-care, balancing your expression out in the world as what you're giving, taking, what you're giving, offering, and taking back and receiving. Balance in all things, especially because of the change that's coming. It's going to be coming. And so you got to move into balance real quickly. And if you're already harmonized from a space that feels balanced, you'll be able to pivot on demand and kind of shift more quickly as the changes occur, right? And always seeking balance too. Every time you get unseated, unrooted, the opportunity is to like take that breath and harmonize back in and back down. Number 2, it's about your inner landscape. Again, that Leo energy is going to want to pull you out. The Cancer energy, pulling the crabby energy in, and that highly sensitive experience. There's contrast in all of it, right? And you're moving through it, but even though you're in the heat of summer, it's especially in this hemisphere, it's like the hot, alive, activated time. You are best served by being really cool. Spirit's saying, as hot as it gets out there, be really cool in your inner lens, like coming into your breath, coming into your inner landscape. What do I know to be true? Who is it I'm becoming? What are your practices? Finding your God, goddess, creator self, and really optimizing that through balance and harmony, so that any changes that need to come can come effortlessly, and so that you can move into the role of observation as the outside world pivots and changes as it so greatly needs to right now. Number 3 is one of my favorites, because it is actually the pillar 1 of my book, The Palace of Light. I'll put the link below here. If you're watching this on YouTube or wherever it is you're watching it, the link is in bio. There's always a way to find it. Go to my website, lisamccardle.com. You will find it there. But pillar 1 in the Palace of Light, finding your way home, is presence. And of course, it is the alpha and the omega. It is the beginning and it is the end point. We constantly come back to presence. It is the only thing that's going to walk us home to our highest expression and through this ascension portal of birthing this new earth. So presence in all things, presence, taking this breath, finding the presence. And as everything is on a pivot and changing so rapidly, presence is always the guarantee that you're going to have the solace that is needed to optimize any change and pivot on demand. So you don't get tripping over yourself, so you can catch the change, so you can go with the flow instead of in resistance to it. The more present you are, the more adaptable you are, the more available you are to catch everything, and especially to move, as so much will be moving so rapidly. And number 4 is go with the flow. Attached to nothing, allow for everything. I've been saying it for years. It's my whole motto, but this is one of those times that it's really, really, really optimized for you to just go with the flow. Let it be. Let it go. If you can't let it go, let it be. Go with how you're called to move. Stay present in all things. Optimize your inner landscape and seek for balance in all ways. And you will you will ride through this frequency of July in a way that's going to serve you so much. Um, and again, as you attach to nothing, allow for everything, you stand in the perfect well for new creation. So I'm sending so much love to your light. May this July serve your soul deeply, and may you optimize all the gifts it has, and may the change bestow itself upon you in a way that is gracious, with ease, and in service of your greatest joy and your highest good. Love to your light. Have a great July.